Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up. In a Young and Restless preview for the week of August 26 to 30, is Daniel's daughter repeating his tragic history? Read on for the details and watch the video below. Even before the massive troubles that Kyle and Summer faced, including fighting over Harrison, Kyle and Claire seemed to click. More importantly, Claire and Harrison clicked and became close during the ordeal with her crazy Aunt Jordan. Kyle hired her to be Harrison's nanny, which took a lot of convincing for Summer to go along with. Now, the little boy's life could be upended once again. Coming up, Victor tells Kyle, "I think it may be time for Claire to, make a change. So why don't you start looking for a replacement?" Kyle squints. "Are you asking me to fire her?" After the incident with the booze and the concert, Lucy found herself grounded and getting a stern talking to and a history lesson from her dad. However, even that couldn't keep her from obeying the rules, and she snuck out of her house and met up with Faith. She wanted them to be friends, but Faith felt Lucy needed friends her age. Next week, at the hospital, Nick, standing with Sharon, asks Daniel, who is with Heather. Lucy was in an accident. Daniel replies, "Yeah. Why are you here?" Sharon says, "Faith." Daniel asks, "Faith was in the car too." https://youtube.b/0fairtrollzoo. After overhearing Adam and Chelsea in the park, Billy and Sally were suspicious of what had happened between them in Baltimore. Sally confronted Adam, who lied to her face. However, Chelsea finally came clean with Billy, a fact Adam learned from Chelsea after having just deceived Sally. Next week, Billy tells Adam, as Sally behind him says, "Chelsea told me the truth. She had the courage to be honest with me. You didn't have any courage, did you?" Adam advances toward him, shouting, "Get out of my place right now. You are drunk, and you need to go home and sleep it off." Sally yells, "No, let him stay." Is Sally about to learn once again that she can't trust Adam? Be sure to read our Young and Restless spoilers to find out who has some advice for Phyllis and what Nikki has to tell Lily. Billy sat on the creaky park bench, watching the autumn leaves swirl around in a dance of oranges, yellows, and reds. The air was crisp, carrying with it the scent of pine and the distant aroma of someone's fireplace. He fidgeted with the zipper on his jacket, his mind racing with the thoughts he'd been wrestling with for days. He knew what he had to do, but he wasn't sure how to say it. Sally would be here any minute. Billy looked at his watch, the hands moving too fast for his liking. Why did everything seem so urgent today? He had rehearsed the conversation in his head a dozen times, each scenario ending differently. Sometimes, Sally was angry. Sometimes she cried, and sometimes, in the best of his imaginings, she simply nodded in understanding. But he knew Sally too well to expect that last outcome. The distant crunch of footsteps on the gravel path brought Billy out of his thoughts. He looked up to see Sally approaching, her brown hair tied back in a loose ponytail, a scarf wrapped tightly around her neck. She smiled when she saw him, but there was something in her eyes that made Billy's stomach churn. She was worried too. "Hey, Billy," she greeted him, sitting down on the bench beside him. She rubbed her hands together, trying to warm them up. "It's getting colder every day, isn't it?" "Yeah, it is," Billy replied, his voice quieter than he intended. He cleared his throat, trying to muster up some courage. "Thanks for meeting me, Sal." "Of course," Sally said, turning to face him. "You sounded serious on the phone. Is everything okay?" Billy took a deep breath, his heart pounding in his chest. He had known Sally since they were kids. They'd grown up on the same street, gone to the same schools, and shared countless memories. Sally was his best friend, the one person he could always count on. And now, he had to tell her something that could change everything. "Sally," he began, his voice trembling slightly, "there's something I need to tell you. It's about Adam." At the mention of Adam's name, Sally's smile faded, her eyes darkened with concern, and she shifted uncomfortably on the bench. Adam was her boyfriend, the guy she had been dating for the past year. Billy had watched their relationship from the sidelines, always there to support Sally, even when it hurt. "What about Adam?" Sally asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Billy looked down at his hands, unable to meet her gaze. He had promised himself he wouldn't interfere, that he would let Sally make her own decisions, but he couldn't keep this secret any longer. "I know something about him, something I think you need to know," Billy said, forcing himself to look her in the eyes. It's not easy for me to say this, but I think you deserve the truth." Sally's breath caught in her throat. She had always sensed there was something Billy wasn't telling her, but she had never pressed him. Now she wasn't sure if she wanted to hear what he had to say. "Billy, please," she urged, her voice trembling. "Just tell me." Billy swallowed hard, the words feeling heavy in his mouth. He didn't want to hurt Sally, but he knew this was something she had to hear. "I saw Adam with someone else," Billy finally said, his voice breaking. "Last week at the coffee shop near campus. He was with another girl, Saul. They were holding hands, laughing, and they kissed." Sally's world seemed to stop for a moment. The wind around them grew colder, and the vibrant colors of the leaves seemed to dull. She felt like she was falling, like the ground beneath her had vanished. Billy's words echoed in her mind, refusing to make sense. "No," Sally whispered, shaking her head. "No, you must be mistaken, Billy. Adam wouldn't do that. He loves me." "I'm so sorry, Sally," Billy said, his heart breaking as he saw the tears welling up in her eyes. "I didn't want to believe it either, but I saw it with my own eyes. I even confronted him afterward, but he just brushed me off, said it wasn't what it looked like. But it was, Saul. It was exactly what it looked like." Sally bit her lip, trying to hold back the tears. She didn't want to cry, not in front of Billy. She had always prided herself on being strong, on not letting emotions get the best of her. But this was too much. The betrayal cut deep, like a knife twisting in her heart. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" Sally asked, her voice trembling. "Why did you wait until now?" Billy looked down at the ground, guilt washing over him. He had asked himself that same question 100 times since the day he saw Adam with that other girl. He had wanted to protect Sally, to shield her from the pain. But in doing so, he had only prolonged the inevitable. "I didn't want to hurt you," Billy admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "I kept hoping it was a one-time thing, that maybe he'd realize what he was doing and stop. But when I saw them together again yesterday, I couldn't keep it from you any longer. You deserve better than that, Saul. You deserve someone who treats you with the respect and love you give to them." Sally couldn't hold back the tears any longer. They spilled down her cheeks, warm against the cold air. She felt a wave of emotions crash over her. Hurt, anger, betrayal, and the deep sadness of realizing that the man she loved wasn't who she thought he was. Billy reached out, gently taking her hand in his. "I'm so sorry, Sally. I wish I didn't have to be the one to tell you this, but I couldn't let you keep believing in something that wasn't real." Sally squeezed his hand, finding some comfort in his touch. She knew Billy was telling the truth. He had always been honest with her, even when it was hard. But knowing the truth didn't make it any easier to bear. Billy sighed, wishing he had an answer that would make everything better. But there was no easy fix for this. "I can't tell you what to do, Sally," he said gently. "But I'll be here for you, no matter what. You don't have to go through this alone." Sally nodded, grateful for Billy's support. But the weight of Adam's betrayal was too heavy to ignore. She needed to confront him, to hear his side of the story, even if it meant confirming her worst fears. "I have to talk to him," Sally said, her voice stronger now, though still tinged with pain. "I need to hear it from him." Billy nodded, understanding her need for closure. "I'll come with you if you want," he offered, knowing how hard it would be for her to face Adam alone. Sally shook her head. "No, I need to do this on my own," she said, wiping the tears from her cheeks. "But thank you, Billy. I don't know what I'd do without you." Billy smiled, though it didn't reach his eyes. He wished he could do more to help her, to take away the pain she was feeling. But all he could do was be there for her, as he always had been. As Sally stood up to leave, Billy squeezed her hand one last time. "You're stronger than you think, Saul," he said softly. "You'll get through this, and I'll be here, waiting, whenever you need me." Sally nodded, giving him a weak smile before turning and walking away. As she made her way down the gravel path, the leaves crunching beneath her feet, Billy watched her go, his heart heavy with worry. He knew she had a difficult road ahead, but he also knew that Sally was resilient. She would find her way through the darkness, and when she did, Billy would be there, as he always had been, ready to help her pick up the pieces and move forward. The wind picked up, scattering the leaves around the empty bench where Billy now sat alone. He sighed, feeling the weight of the truth he had just revealed. It was a burden he had carried for too long, but now it was out in the open, and he could only hope that in time, Sally would heal and find the happiness she deserved. For now, All he could do was wait and be there for her, just as he always had been, and always would be.